Hi, I'm Ruth. I am a Horizon user and also a enthusiast of virtual reality. And I am here to tell you about Horizons and my experience of it and give you some understanding if you haven't come in or if you've tried Horizons, some of the ins and outs of what it's like to be a user here. So today we're going to start talking about what's the container that we're in? Where are we? Why are we here? And talk a little bit about what fun we can have in Horizons, but also what are the limitations. And so, what we're in right now is a world that I built called Village, and it is a world of littles. And these are my air quotes because we can't do double fingered air quotes. So, the littles are these tiny versions of avatars that represent a group and a diverse group of people who are having a village experience, kind of like all of us in virtual reality. And as you can see, this little seems kind of anxious. He's either upset. I've figured out that he's upset because he doesn't have hands, or he's upset because he's being picked up by a giant person and he's like, this is scary, please put me down. We're gonna put him down. But the littles are a good representation of this amazing and absurd situation we're all finding ourselves in, where we're meeting each other from all over the country and sometimes all over the world in this new application that's beta, Facebook Horizons. And what does that mean? How do we get along together, but also how do we create really interesting and fun experiences? And this is one of my worlds that's attempting to do that. So before we talk more about the details of the container, I wanted to show you around. I think about this as an homage to Mr. Rogers a little bit. So if you come over here, you can see a little train. Every once in a while, when I bring friends here, I'll start singing, "It's a beautiful day in Horizon Hood, a beautiful day in Horizon Hood." And then people laugh and I stop singing. But this is a place where you can grab all the littles and make a story out of them. And I wanted to give people the chance to try the sense of being in world creator mode. So when you're in world creator mode, you can actually be this big or this big whenever you want. And it helps you create big things and little things and look at details and zoom out and zoom in. But it can be really overwhelming when people first come in to try that. So this is a soft transition to world creator mode and also storyboarding, where you can make up a story in this world and give a little drama. And then if you like your story enough and you have friends telling that story with you, this little frozen lake here is actually a template in the World Creator tools that you can download as a full-sized version. You can make it small like this if you want to, but you can also keep it really big and create a whole story around this Iceland that we're in, the ice and snow. And so my version of that story was to delete a lot of the stuff that was connected to this because it was more of a Christmas theme, and just keep it a winter theme, and then add a lot of village up above, and then add these little characters that you can move around kind of like puppets or dolls. And my friend created the train and we've had a lot of fun in here already. So that is your introduction into container, both the container we're in right now, but also the container of Facebook Horizon. A lot of people feel very crowded in this container sometimes because the memory size for the worlds is small. There's lots of glitches. It is a beta. And I'm sad when they feel that way because there's so much opportunity to play and meet really interesting people. If you are lucky enough to have a beta invite, give Facebook a chance and try it out. Meet some people and just be playful. It's kind of like being given a very small Lego set and all the different things you can make with just a tiny Lego set. And Facebook Horizons is that way also. The containers of the worlds can be really small sometimes, depending on what you're wanting to do in it, but you can have infinite possibilities of what that looks like. Yeah. So I am with the littles. These are the littles, and I'm standing in what looks like 5 feet of snow, but probably it's more like 4 inches for me, maybe 4 feet for them. And we are in front of their lodge around their village where they are obviously set up to have a little meeting here. And this is one of the stories people can do is they can bring the littles over here and have them have a meeting and talk about what it means to be village or have a little drama. As you can see right here, I have the opposite kind of avatar. So all our avatars in Horizons have these rings on the bottom and none of us have legs. And it occurred to me that maybe in an alternate reality, one of the stories we could tell is that there's a whole bunch of legs walking around with little rings, but they don't actually have any upper torsos, and they're wondering where the universe is with all their upper torsos. So I call this character Crazy Pants because they're walking around and trying to see where they fit. And I also think that that is a great metaphor for all of us who end up in virtual reality for one reason or another, but definitely during COVID, one thing that we have in common is that we are seeking and very hungry for community, that we need distraction and we need to take a break from the stresses of our lives. The whole world is affected by this. And so Crazy Pants is a way that people giggle and will try the pants on everybody, but then realize that Crazy Pants has their own halo, so they have to be kind of independent. Actually, I'm in edit mode right now, so even though it looks like I'm a visitor in my world, I can switch on my hand and go into a really big size. So we're gonna see where that lands me, but I will be right back in if it makes me too big. Yeah, really big. So this is what I call God mode, but officially I believe it's called build mode, and everybody can do this. And when I'm in this mode, I can pick things up and move them. I think actually everything's locked in here. Well, this part isn't, but you probably can't see that. I can pick the train up, but in visit mode, I can't do that. I can also undo whatever I'm doing just in case I made a mistake. The tools in Horizon are actually pretty simple. One of the goals of Horizons is to, as I've heard it, is to democratize world building, which means that those of us who don't have degrees in scripting and know how to program through a computer can actually come in here and using our hands, we can build some amazing things. And this is an example of that. I've been in Horizons for about 5 months and I've spent hundreds of hours on world building. And so to put together a world like this, a lot of people ask me, how long did this take you? And the answer is, this probably took me about 4 hours. And that seems kind of amazing to people, but it actually gets pretty quick when you learn the tools. Again, it's like a little Lego set. And if you learn each piece and how they fit together and what your basic tools are, you can go faster and faster and faster because you're not bogged down by a lot of different kinds of choices. So let's say that I wanted to build a passenger car for the train because people actually have been asking for that. They're like, how do the littles go on their adventures? And so I just pulled an object out of my menu, and now very quickly I can start to manipulate this object to grow a train car. Let's see here. There we go. So I can do this while talking to you and not feel too distracted. There's a lot of ways to build and connect with community here that I really enjoy and make containers that work for us, make experiences that work for us, and tell stories. I've met some of my friends in here a while back, and sometimes when we have conflict or we have misunderstandings around what kinds of worlds we're wanting to build, we'll just hop into a brand new world and make a sandbox world where we just play, and we're probably never going to publish it. I might use some of the ideas in there, but as we create, we will talk about whatever wasn't working, whatever we needed to kind of figure out. And that's kind of nice. We don't have a lot of places, especially during COVID in the world where we can spend up and close personal time together without having to wear masks and without having to stay 6 feet away from each other. And so this is a way that we get to connect without feeling really like we're going to endanger each other to be around. So just making what is called a gray box kind of prototype of a little train car that people might be able to fit inside. And then I'll come back to this later and keep going. I'm gonna do some windows here and then probably put some chairs inside because you're gonna be able to see inside. And this, one of the things that I've heard people say about world building in Horizon is like when you really get your idea solid and you're feeling good about it, the time goes by so quickly. So you can spend many, many hours in here without even trying. And especially if you have company and you have people who have different skill sets, like they do different things. I'll lock this because that's being irritating. Then you can get very distracted with so many different directions. It's hard to decide which one you're going to do next. But I have currently like 5 or 6 worlds in progress, and I don't know if I'll do all of them, but they're really fun to experiment with people around. And if you can see, I just duplicated that whole side. So now I have the other wall made for this train car. And now I'm highlighting it all. Oh, I'm going to get the ground there too. So there's our train car. So quick. It's amazing how quick these things work. And I'm going to pull some wheels out. And then we'll have this done for the next visitors who want to come in here. Oh, did we? That's interesting. So this is a good example of doing the undo button because something got messed up here. Can you see that? It's interesting. Is there a big black thing above here for you? Yeah, I think that it's actually, oh, I know what it is. Never mind. That's funny. Okay. I'm gonna redo that then. Okay. Is this any better? Okay, cool. All right, so back to the train car. That was so weird. It opened up this giant menu that I couldn't even see very well through. I know. Yeah. So this was totally spontaneous, but it's interesting to kind of give people a demonstration of it. I don't know that they've gotten to see this particular piece before. Maybe make those a little smaller. And then I'm matching it to fit how my friend Lacey did his train car. I'm gonna start painting it. God, I totally feel like Mr. Rogers right now. It's so funny. Oh, let's do metal. There you go. He's got some interesting wheels over there. This almost looks like a circus train car. It's funny. But we can adjust it. The nice thing about this whole thing is you don't have to commit to anything because it can all be changed whenever you want it to. Right now I'm just selecting a fun color. There we go. And I'll probably have the person who did the original train come in and fix this and make it even more pretty. But right now we have a passenger train. Yay. Yeah, awesome. So then, even though it's just prototype, I could grab a little and kind of put them inside so people can see it. Let's see here. Okay. That's funny. There's a little riding the train. And here's a little who's a little anxious about what's happening here. It's like, oh, I don't know. Is this right? And let's actually pull that down so you can't see their little glowy things. But yeah, now we have a train car. Yay! I can also move this light also inside so you can see them better. Is that good? Actually, this here. There you go. Oh, it's locked. That's interesting. There we go. There's that. My friend said that this is a train that carries the toxin steps, so it shouldn't have a passenger car. And I was like, well, let's put a little recycling thing on the side and then it can be a eco-friendly train. Now we have this. Yay! This was really fun. We got to build another piece of this world. So if you do come into Horizons, you can find Village by going to your Worlds tab and then type in Worlds, and you can find the door to Village through Worlds, where you can see all the different templates in Worlds that you have options to use to create as of January 2021. And so next we're going to go to a sandbox world I have going on that has some different points for us to think about around what is the container that we're all inside and how do we use our time in Horizon to benefit each other and ourselves the most. We are in my new Horizons world. That's what I decided to call it so far. It's a sandbox, and maybe I will publish this, but right now we're just trying out some different ideas of how to give you some visuals to understand what I might be talking about while we learn about Horizons together. So today we're talking about the container, and that's kind of at many levels what we're inside. So I'm inside a headset right now. That's part of the container. I'm also inside of an application that is owned by Facebook and is called Horizon, and it's the beta version, which means that they have a filter so not everybody can get in. Well, they are testing and refining how to make this application the most stable and successful. So I'm going to tell you about my story on this container and what I believe we have the opportunity to do in Horizons that's different than other virtual reality social applications like AltSpace, VR Chat, or Rec Room is another one. One of the things about the container, and we can actually look at the bigger bubble while we're going there, but actually side note, I'm going to introduce this a little bit more. We're going to be doing container today, and then and in other videos, we'll be able to talk about things like the consumer that we all are. What does that mean? How are we consumers? Who are consumers? We'll talk about the community in here and what our opportunities are for building community. Just like we have community on Facebook, we can also build community in here with our friends on Facebook who also have virtual reality. We can talk about world creation and things like scripts and design and storytelling and what else? And what it means to be a creator. You know, we are creating community, we are creating our experience, we are also creating worlds. How do we do that together? And finally, that we're going to talk about journeys and how journeys look in Horizons and also in virtual reality, and how we can make the best out of each of our journeys that sometimes intersect and sometimes diverge, and how to be good, healthy community together that's also having fun and building really interesting worlds. Very fun. All right. So look, the little has turned really, really big. Now I'm the little. And this little we're going to call Stan is a archetype or a prototype of our typical virtual reality user. Stan is on an adventure, as you can tell. He's got a backpack on and he's ready to go and go on a journey. Maybe Stan, when he's not walking around in this world, he goes and he games. He plays different games in virtual reality. And then Stan got an invite to Horizon and he was like, yay, I've heard all this hype about Facebook making a virtual reality app. I've got to try this out. When Stan came in, he came into the plaza where he got to meet some community guides, and he got told about different worlds he could go to. Like there's puzzle worlds, there's gaming worlds where you can shoot each other in a whole myriad of ways. And then there's journey worlds. And there's worlds where you can just kind of play some little games and meet people and put a puzzle together, or maybe just go experience something awe-inspiring. The worlds that I specialize in, as Stan knows, is journey worlds, where you get to just not presume or assume that you can expect the world to behave like our physical reality worlds. You can walk into walls, you can find little Easter eggs, little cute things. And so Stan is a example of us talking about container, where he's acclimating to Horizons and trying to understand how it's different than VR chat, where you can wear lots of different avatars. Mostly if you go into VR chat, not human avatars, they are different kinds of creatures. And VR chat, as an example, has a reputation for being kind of like the wild, wild west of virtual reality. It's very intense and people don't have a lot of understanding or respect of boundaries. So Stan is pretty used to that, and now he's here in Horizon and is wanting to understand, why is everybody so excited about Horizon? Well, one of the pieces that Stan is learning about is that Horizon is making it so much easier for us to democratize world building, which means you don't have to be the expert here. You don't have to know scripting or coding very much at all. And in the beginning, you can make some really beautiful worlds without any scripts that you're actually having to type out or put in. In fact, this whole world, for the most part, has only one script in it, and that just helps the shapes look transparent. And I borrowed that script from a friend of mine, so I didn't even have to write it. So Stan is going on his adventure and exploring worlds, and every time we talk about a new topic, we're going to have a new big little to tell their story and share why they are enjoying Horizon and what barriers they're hitting and what they need to remember. So what I'm going to tell Stan about today is that he gets to do some world building, and he doesn't have to have a degree or know anything about scripting, and he gets to, by vote, know what what his world does to people. Like, do people come to his world and like it? Do they come to his world and not like it? Does he go and he goes into the plaza after he's built a world and he says, "Hey, come try out my world." And when people come, they're like, "Meh." Or maybe they're like, "Wow, let me help you build your world." And then Stan invites them into his world, and up to 4 people can play in a world together when they're building it right now. So Stan might invite some of his little friends, or his big friends in this case, to come in and build worlds with him. How's this going? Is this okay? Yeah. Okay. So then the next piece is what I call inoculating everybody on what a beta is. So when people come in sometimes and they're like confused about how things are working, or there's lots of glitches, I will tell them, what I want you to do is put your hands up in the air like this, like you're going to shrug your shoulders. And instead of saying, "It's a pizza," just say, "It's a beta." And by practicing that, we can all kind of have moments of giggling and laughing, because there are a lot of things changing all the time in here. And even probably when it's released, there's going to be all kinds of updates. It's a very fluid system. And so whenever things don't work, there's 10 other routes to still have fun. And that's kind of what I teach people to help them understand. To get irritated or annoyed with this program because it's not steady and super dependable will make you go away. And that's not fun. So stick around and just learn and practice flexibility. And there's a lot of people in here that do that and grow some very fancy worlds over time. But it takes like a cycle of try out building a world, then go meet people, have them come test it. They'll give you ideas, you'll help them with their worlds, and then you'll do another layer to your world over and over again until it's could be one of the most popular worlds in here. Who knows? But it all starts with an idea. So the last thing is, for the container that we're in, that I would like you to keep in mind, is this idea that Horizon is made up of 2 C's. You know, the Oculus symbol is kind of split in half for the Horizon symbol, and I interpret that to mean these 2 C's of creators and community. And when you get stuck as a creator in here, the opportunity to jump into the plaza and meet very friendly people at any given moment is amazing. You've probably heard of a creative block. Well, we all get them. I get them all the time, where I just lose my energy and I don't want to build, and I'm irritated with Stan for some reason, and I just don't want to touch my world anymore. Instead of having to leave and feeling like, I don't know if I want to do any more creative work, I can go and find somebody who maybe is feeling stuck also, and maybe we start a new project together, or maybe we just go world hop. So the alternating between creator and community as a way to keep your flow going and keep connecting makes this a highly addictive app. And that's both interesting and challenging. But it also makes it really unique. It's very fluid to hop between with very low consequence. So having somebody come in and try out some things on my world today doesn't mean they have to stay on the list to try out things later. I can just add them for today and remove them. And everybody's doing that all the time, and it's not offensive. But it gives us the chance to bounce back and forth and build our friendships as we build really interesting worlds. Kind of make our dreams or ideas come true and see how they impact people. Yeah. So that's container. Yay. Next time we're going to be talking about what it means to be a consumer of Horizons, and if you don't want to come and world build or meet anybody, what is it like to be here and go and play some games or go on a tour of Horizons? Consumers are really important because they help us keep our standard up to the best possible place, because we may never get to talk to you, and it still is a worthwhile thing to come check out. So we'll talk about that next time and meet our next little, who's also really big. In the meantime, I'm gonna go world hop, take a break from all this.